Hey everybody, welcome back to the Chorizo Bros. Joseph back at it again with yet another graphic novel review. So this is going to be our first video for 2025. I am extremely excited to see where this year is going to go in terms of what videos I'm going to make, what books I'm going to read, what movies I'm going to watch, what me and the guys are going to get into this year. So this is an exciting time. The first thing that we wanted to start off with is when I have the guys back together is we're going to be talking about Jodorowsky's Dune. It was a documentary made about a project that Alejandro Jodorowsky tried to put together, a feature film adaptation of Frank Herbert's Dune. Now, there's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot going on with the documentary. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about that. I definitely recommend you guys check that out. But one of the interesting things about what was going on in there was, spoiler alert, they couldn't get the movie made. It was a little too ambitious, it was a little too crazy, there wasn't enough money, whatever the case is. So Jodorowsky decided to take that creative effort and that creative mind and wanted to still do something with the ideas he had for this Dune retelling or whatever. So he went and made some comic books, some graphic novels with some very talented artists. And one of them is the Metabarons. The big thing here is obviously the influence of Frank Herbert's Dune saga into anything associated with the Metabarons. There's a ton of series, a ton of stuff in this universe. I'm only reading and kind of reviewing the one thing, but there's a lot. And Jodorowsky isn't shy about wearing his creative influences on his sleeve, right? So the big thing here is if you're familiar with the Dune universe, it's going to be hard to not see it in a lot of what's going on here. Now, I can see that turning a lot of people off right away. It's like, oh, this is going to be some kind of derivative project. And that is a fair criticism if you open this up. But there is a lot of creativity and a lot of other influences. There's some Greek mythology stuff in here. There seems to be a little bit of like Shakespearean stuff going on in here also. But for a lot of people, I think the Dune stuff is going to be either right up your alley or it's going to make you want to dodge this. So for me, I think even with the fact that it is very much Dune again in a way, um, there's enough here in terms of just expanding on some of those weirder ideas that were unique to Jodorowsky, and the art in here is amazing. This is some of the coolest artwork that I've ever seen in a graphic novel. Every page has something really unique about it. All the way the characters are designed, the way the spaceships are designed, the way the landscapes are designed, everything about it is gorgeous. If you were to open this thing, you wouldn't even have to read it. You could just be sifting through pages looking for cool imagery and you would find it. It's terrific. So definitely on these two different things, 5 out of 5 for the artwork, maybe a 3 for the writing. Now that's a little bit better than average. Again, it's the derivative nature of this is going to be some of the points taken off for me in terms of the writing. But it is fun enough that I burned through it and I will probably continue to check out some more of his stuff. So there's that rating for you right there, that 3 out of 5, right? So one of the big things that sort of ties this whole thing together is the framing device is a couple of androids talking to each other, and this is Tonto, the sort of smaller robot, is sort of telling his companion, his other android companion, about the lineage of the Metabarons, where the Metabarons came from. The Metabarons are supposed to be this like ultimate fighter, the most violent, the most dangerous, the ultimate fighter, right? And there's certain rules of honor and certain rituals and different things that have to sort of happen in order to get the title of Metabaron, right? So Tonto is sort of retelling his companion this whole story about the lineage of the Metabarons and everything. And that's our framing device. Now, it wouldn't bother me too much, just the fact that that's there. What kind of does bother me about it is every time those little androids are on the page, it annoyed me because it's the same thing every time you see them. It's The big android is, oh, my gears are getting worn out and I'm spilling oil everywhere because this story is so exciting, and oh, stop your, and then they use these like weird terms. um the Tonto always tells them, I'm going to disassemble you, or I'm going to break you, or whatever. And then, it's telling the story. There's so many pages of this, right? So then the story will be being told. And then at the end of what would have been probably a thin, little magazine thing, is when they frame it to, well, you got to wait till next time. And then it starts off with these little androids again. And then they're cutting every time something kind of big happens in the story. We're cutting back to Tonto telling him, oh, I'm going to spill oil everywhere because I'm so excited. This is so crazy. How are you going to keep me on pins and needles? God damn. I felt like that was tedious just telling you. Can you imagine if you're reading it and every other page you got to see these stupid androids? I really didn't like that. I think the design of them was pretty cool, and if they had used them a little bit less, maybe at the beginning of each issue and the end of them, even that might maybe would have felt a little bit much. Because again, this is a collection, right? So it's like what would have been published is all together. So maybe that's why it feels like it's too much. I don't know. But what is probably my favorite story in here is about Steelhead. So Steelhead is, it's explained why he's headless, and he's got this like helmet, this really cool helmet, in place of a head, and he can still think. I don't know what the thinking is or the idea behind that is, but he can still think and talk and communicate, whatever, and he's still the most badass fighter, right? Part of how that whole thing works is the emperor has to kind of bestow upon you the title of Metabaron. He goes to this ceremony for that, and one of the diplomats, this choice has to be unanimous from everybody there, right? But this one, we have one holdout, and he murders this guy. And then he has to, because the rights of that diplomat go to the next person in line, he has to convince the daughter to like be okay with him and like forgive him for killing the dad and whatever. So that's a whole like quest that this one guy goes on, Steelhead goes on, and he decides to he has to figure out some other part of his nature, or discover the antithesis of what he is, which is the most violent, a fighter, soldier, whatever, and tries to find the creative, sensitive, loving part of who he is. So it's really strange. He decides to go and like find this disembodied head of an ancient poet, and he like grafts that guy's head to where his steelhead used to go, and then now he's this like body of this warrior with the look, the face and the head of this poet. So he's like this warrior poet now. It's so strange and so cool and so weird. And that's how he decides that he wants to get the diplomat whom he murdered, the diplomat's daughter, to like fall in love with him and like change her mind about if he can be the Metabaron. It's just one of the stories in here, and all the stories are strange like that. There's even one where it's like, because they're all supposed to be of a male part of the male line of genetics, right? And then there's always like cheats and things that kind of like come in out of nowhere to sort of mess up the rules, and they all sort of break rules in different ways. And so there's one that's like technically a female body but with the mind of the male. It's so weird. Anyway, if this is all sounding really convoluted and strange, it's because it is. So that's definitely one of the things that's either gonna be really exciting to you, or it was to me. It was very cool to sort of just be like, all right, let's just get weird. Let's just go with it. Let's just let Jodorowsky write his insane stuff, and we're just gonna roll with it. And that's kind of like where your headspace needs to be for this, because it's almost like a hallucination. It's like a hallucination of a space opera. That's kind of what that's kind of what I should just say it is, right? I think it's definitely worth checking out. Now, Humanoids, the publishing company of this, these books are insanely expensive. I'm pretty sure that they're had to be shipped over from Europe or wherever, and I don't remember where exactly I got it. I don't remember if I special ordered it or if I saw this at like a used bookstore and I found it interesting enough to just grab it. But looking into it, these things are very expensive. I don't think they're going to be easy for you to find. Um, But man, this is so cool. This is such a cool thing to have on my bookshelf, and honestly, I can look through it without even reading it and just be amazed at how you can tell this was made up with a lot of love. It shows. It's very cool. So, like I said before, that's kind of where we're at with this. I have another couple of Jodorowsky's graphic novels that I'm going to probably read in between now and our Jodorowsky's Dune episode with Art and Jeremy. So you might see one of his other ones come up on the next video, or who knows how I'm going to decide to do that. But that's definitely on the way. Um, Overall, it's a thumbs up, you guys. I think it's a testament to what you can do if you have an idea and it doesn't work out the exact way you thought. You can still find a way to make it work in a different way, and maybe arguably a better way. So on that note, I think I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna enjoy the very beginning of 2025 with some more reading and stuff. So on that note, I'm gonna be out of here, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Like and subscribe. Come back again. We're going to see some more Jodorowsky stuff on the way, and leave some comments. I want to know what you guys want us to discuss. There's so much fun stuff out there, and we want to dig in. So I'm going to get out of here, guys. Thanks so much.